And so, beloved masters, greetings on this evening. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, the one day of the year that humanity chooses to celebrate love. And it is what we are going to speak about this evening is a miraculous revelation. The wonder of this golden revelation called the connection to inner self. The personal growth is for each one individual. The personal growth is the path leading inward. The mind says, if it's going inward, then am I supposed to avoid the world? No. But if I go inward and the world is outward, how do I deal with my worldly affairs? It's called blending. It's called balance. And that is why it is such a golden revelation. An amazing opportunity to connect with you. The idea of love has been presented as something you do to, for, about others. But the golden revelation is you really can't give them any more than you allow for yourself. The intellectual idea of loving is distant. It's what I do for you, but not necessarily how I feel for you. So people do things because they must. They do things because they were told to. They do things because they want to be a good person. And yes, there are times when most people will do something because it feels loving. But to live that feeling of love, to live it all of the time, the logical mind has basically created an intellectual shorthand that has broken ideas and feelings down into a code. So loving is romantic. Loving is a roller coaster. Loving is skyrockets. But it is that love that the golden revelation brings you is solid, it is strong, it is clear, and it validates you again and again and again. It calls you, that love within, to forgive, discounting, dismissing, disqualifying yourself, and to really feel the heartfelt warmth, embrace, sense of belonging within yourself. The mind looks for validation outward. And people may go around telling others what wonderful things they are doing. And very often, in that, there is an underlying energy, either of neediness, please validate me, tell me that what I'm saying is true, or there is the edge of superiority, that edge that says, I am so wonderful, I am doing things that are so grand, what's wrong with you? And it is one of the most miraculous things that the golden revelation brings you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Oh, you may feel within yourself that there are things that you would call wrong, things that you don't like about yourself, about your life, and the idea of the mind is, if you don't like it, get rid of it. And we have spoken on numerous occasions about how the attempt to get rid of something keeps your focus on that thing that you don't want in your life. So, listen to your story and consider, if I was hearing this story from someone else, how would I experience this? Is this story that I'm telling presenting me in the light of a victim? Is this story that I'm telling about my life rehearsing all the bad things that have ever happened, not even just the ones that happened recently, but going back through the life, through relationships and all the losses of various kinds, and what my parents did or did not do to me, for me, about me. And as you listen, feel the words of your story. And the logical mind is extremely literal. What story? How you are currently describing your life. How you relate a situation that has impressed you as difficult or tedious or painful, and where do you put yourself in the story? The golden revelation suggests putting yourself, yes, in the center of the story, not on the outskirts, left out, not in the midst of combat, not the wounded warrior or victim, but feel in your heart and your soul a warmth about yourself. This is the primary character in my story. This is me. This is I. This is I am. And yes, the world has actually suggested, either directly or subliminally, that if you present yourself as a victim, you'll probably get more out of life. And yet, beloved masters, victims never get more out of life, because victims don't get more. Unless you want to discuss loss or suffering. So, feel how you are presenting yourself. Are you describing you warmly? Not flattery, but the honest truth about your abilities. And since we are very clear that there is nothing wrong with you, pay attention when you move your description into a place of what might be described as false humility. You know from the Lord God of your being, you've created something wonderful. But you play it down. Oh, it was nothing, nothing at all. And feel in your power center how that dismissal of yourself, how that denial of your ability feels to you. And even if someone says, oh, but it sounds like you really did something wonderful, and you argue to hold the place of it was nothing. What are you creating in your life? Who are you creating you to be? In the beginning, everything was chaos. There was no order because it was all just random energy. And energy is literally a neutral force. And God said, let there be light. Illumination. And that was the first call to order. So, dearly beloved masters, to enlighten your inner space. It isn't a dark hole. It isn't some fearsome void. Your inner space is an energy space that you create. It's not actually inside your physical body at all. It is in the space around your physical body, in the center. But you are surrounded by energy. So you have all of this energy that you can call to order. Control is not necessarily orderly at all. Control is rigid. Control is limiting. Control is fearful. Though that's not supposed to be mentioned, that control is fearful. Because control is supposed to be powerful and dominant. But dominance begins to move things back into chaos. Because domination is not a part of the natural, sacred order of life. Control is not a part of the enlightenment that was the first call to order. Now that we have some light in here, we can see what we have to work with. We can see the energy. We can feel it. And as you feel how warm, how loving, how personal that energy within you, in your sacred space, is, it is better than gold. It is an enrichment. It is validation of your mastery. It holds your birth imprint. Not a piece of paper that says, this being was born to these people at this time. It holds the imprint of your unique design. like your thumbprint, like your eye. You are so amazingly one of a kind. And this golden energy, this enlightenment, this revelation that is waiting to fill you. And we have spoken about the clearing, the cleansing recently, that people want to cleanse themselves. They do physical body cleanses. They are always picking at themselves to make sure that they let go of every bit of old toxic energy. But the drive to cleanse, to clear, the dread of toxicity, the dread of germs, the dread of being invaded in any way, body, mind, emotions. And people cleanse themselves and cleanse themselves and cleanse themselves. How do I know if I'm clean enough? Probably, beloved masters, when you get sick. Because to cleanse without allowing new energy in begins to create an imbalance. The world has become so germ conscious, so afraid of infection, that with all that focus on staying sterile, there are more and more and more diseases than ever before. Children don't play in the dirt. They stay in the house and they use electronics. Children don't necessarily get their hands into nature. Climb a tree. Pull weeds out of a garden. Pick flowers. Pet animals. Yes, even animals you've never seen before. To adapt to the climate of a global embrace. And the more that you connect within yourself to your inner space in love, the more that love heals. Because if you're always cleansing, but you're not replenishing, it's very much like drinking so much water that you upset the electrolyte balance in your body. That you cleanse and detoxify and purify until you achieve nutritional deficit. Because the mind focuses on one side And yet, in all situations, both sides have something to offer. So, chaos. And out of chaos comes order. But if the order becomes too intense, it begins to create chaos again. Which brings us to that shorthand of the logical mind. Good is light. Bad is dark. Chaos is both dark and light. However, if you look out into a night sky, you see a lot of darkness as well as a lot of pinpoints of light. Order is not blindingly brilliant. It is comfortable. But if you find your comfort zone and you don't have the courage to move yourself forward, if you don't let a little chaos into your life to disrupt potential stasis, then comfort can lead to limits, which leads to disorder or chaos again. And the mind wants to control it. And that is the beauty of this golden revelation. You were gifted when you were created with the essence of divine creativity, with the potential of a universe, of a cosmos. Unlimited. So, Spirit will begin to give you an understanding of how to recognize the balance within yourself. You may be trying really hard to make something happen. And trying is not even chaos. Trying is basically stasis. It doesn't move, it can't move. It's not allowed to move. It is a bundle of frustrations, aggravations, and thousands of questions about why don't I get what I want? So the golden revelation within, this oasis of warmth within yourself. And people report, I went energetically to my solar plexus. I visualized myself standing in front of my solar plexus, but I couldn't see a door. all I experienced was confusion, fear, a desire to run away, or a need to rush up and make some kind of battle on my solar plexus in order to get into my sacred space. And the sacred, the divine, requires no war. What the logical mind calls battle is simply the movement of both chaos and order, keeping a balance cosmically, in star systems, solar systems, galaxies, on planets. And then it narrows down from the planet to a country, from the country to states, to communities, to people, individuals. And each segment is a part of the whole. So when it gets to you, you're not a grain of sand on a beach of billions, trillions, infinite numbers. You are one of a kind. And in the overall scheme of things, your beingness is important.